although the two high-profile heavyweights were dueling in the main event, the heavyweight that most people were talking about at the end of Saturday night's show was Moses Itauma, whose ambition to become the youngest ever heavyweight champion doesn't look so far-fetched with each time we watch him in action. Got rid of Marius Vac, a very experienced, durable, usually durable campaigner, quicker than anyone ever has before. And didn't look like he was rushing his work in doing it either. Like he maybe could have got him out of there even earlier. How impressive. Did he even surprise you?
I thought we'd get a few rounds out of it, to be quite honest. But what I like about him, and I drive him mad every time I talk to him, I keep banging on about a jab. You know, like all fighters, I bang on about a jab. I'm boring about it. I know, you know, for me, the best heavyweight jab, probably one of the best jabbers in the business was Larry Holmes at his best. I told him, you know, to look at, watch that jab, and it's the key to everything. And you're looking at one of the fights on the night with Ryan Ryan Garner, and the fight he had with Archie Sharp, which was a competitive fight. But you watch him, and I was watching Ryan, what he was doing, where he was sort of, he wasn't getting any distance in his fights, and you know, and Archie's a really good mover and a good defensive fighter, certainly in those early rounds. And what impressed me watching that, and the experience they both had, those fights, is certainly what Ryan's had, is you look at Moses, how he gets his distance, he sets everything up off the jab. That's why he's so good. He's patient and he finds his openings, but everything comes off the jab. Throws that jab, he gets his, so he's always got his distance. He's not falling in, he's not got a step, he's got his distance before he lets his bombs go. And he was punch perfect. I mean, absolutely punch perfect against a guy whose resilience is sort of well respected in the trade, and the fella who, you know, is the gatekeeper because of, you know, his background and all the great fights he's been with over the years. But he's the guy who, Frazer Clarke, for example, who's got, you know, what Harold Fraser, he's in his 30s, isn't he now?
Oh yeah, definitely in his 30s.
He fought him last year, so he was still in his 30s last year. All the experience he's got, and went the distance with it. Yuri Fury done the same. Dillian White, a lot of them gone the distance and took him the distance. Good learning fights for him. And you look at our kid, he's a teenager. He's a teenager, 19 years of age. Look what he did there, and the performance. And, you know, I'm going to tell you now, coming off of that fight, I'd make him and Frazer Clarke today. I'd make it this afternoon if they could do it.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because we asked on Twitter straight after the fight, who's the highest ranked heavyweight you feel Moses Itauma would beat right now? And we had Frazer Clarke as an answer. We had Fabio Wardley. We had Dillian White as an answer as well. Who do you think are some of the best heavyweights you'd be happy to put him in with right now, apart from Frazer Clarke, who you've just mentioned?
The thing we was trying to get was some rounds on Saturday night. That's what I was looking for him to get some rounds under his belt. And I'm not saying that you want him to keep people up. You know, the name of the game is getting there and do the job. And what for me was that he had to, is that, you know, he, like I said, he's a tremendous finisher, and he's a very smart boxer. I'd put him in with literally any of those guys at that level, any of the British guys. Having said that, I will want to know about his stamina, because I don't know yet.
Yeah,
and that's what we thought was going to happen. We thought this fellow might get him past, you know, 6-7 rounds and see how he goes. But I mean, I know he's done a few rounds, but it's important to know that in a real, especially when they're in with smart guys. But I've got to tell you, the way he's boxing, he's smarter than any of them.
Yeah, it's a tricky one to match him, I suppose, now, because you do want to get him those rounds, but you don't want to put him to world level before he's ready for it as well.
I can look at a lot of fighters. Hang on, let me kill this. Is it still on?
Yeah, you're still there.
Yeah. I can think of a lot of fighters in the. I'm not going to mention names. There's a few guys though, certainly in the top 20, top 15 in the world, that I would match him with.
Sure, you don't want
And
to
I
mention
think,
names? Or?
no, not yet, but I've mentioned one already, a British one, which I'd like. I'd love to see that fight. I'm not being disrespectful to Frazer. I mean, Frazer's got a great pedigree, you know that. And look at that last fight. I mean, that was a big fight with him and Fabio. That was a really, really close run fight. The styles make fights, and he's 19 years old. He's a prodigy. There's no doubt about that.
Good stuff. Now, going from heavyweight all the way down to super bantam, one of the most impressive performers on Saturday night was Dennis McCann, doing what I'm sure you hoped he would have done the first time round against Belluta, but only the second time Belluta's been beaten clearly, I think, in his career, the first being by your other super bantamweight, Liam Davis. A lot of people now be calling for McCann against Davis. Does Liam still have to fight Shabazz Massoud?
Yes, it's contracted.
So,
but him and Dennis is a big fight down the road. But talking about Dennis's performance was a coming of age for me. Watching him, the way he went about his work against a guy who comes to fight, he's very competitive. He managed to get Belluta on the back foot, which is sometimes a bit difficult because he makes it difficult for him. As kids, Belluta's got a good engine. He's can be a little bit unorthodox at times. He can, and can old man you. But I think that Dennis boxed superbly well and picked his shots, picked his moments, and that was a really, really good quality performance by him in a very good fight.
Could we see him against the Davis Massoud winner next year?
I think so. It's a massive fight.
And then is there, I know you never want to think like this because they're your fighters, but is there a case of hoping that by next year or the end of next year, Naoya Inoue may have moved up beyond super bantamweight?
I think he will move up. I think he will move up. He will move up. There's no doubt about that. And the news at this stage is too much. I won't make that fight with Dennis yet. He needs more experience. Liam says he wants it, but again, I would say let them go up. I mean, if he's going up, let him go up and then get a bit more experience between them, and then we'll see what happens in 18 months' time.
Yeah, because once Inoue does move up, if that happens, the division looks pretty wide open at world level then, and they could be maturing at just the right time.
Correct.